So everything starts off spiritual, then these spiritual energies take on a emotional form, and then from this thought, you actually create chemicals, and it works through your physiology. For instance, when you fall in love, that's called oxytocin. This is an actual chemistry that is released from your brain into your bloodstream, and you can actually measure this in a laboratory, and I can tell by how much oxytocin and prolactin is inside of your bloodstream. Oh, this man is in love, this woman is in love, or this woman just had a child and she must breastfeed, because why is this binding chemistry there? So from this mental or emotional energy, there's a chemical that represents this emotion in your body. Same thing for being angry. When you angry, you have something called epinephrine or norepinephrine inside the bloodstream. When you're scared or you stressed out, you have something called adrenaline or cortisol inside the bloodstream. When you happy, you have something called serotonin, or you have something called dopamine inside the bloodstream. When you're very spiritual, you have a high amount of release of melanin inside the bloodstream. So anything that you're going through in life or whatever you're thinking, it has an actual chemistry in the body that molds and shapes your biology.
Yeah.
And that's why most of these so-called diseases are stress-related detoxification symptoms.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Dr. Yahki is here. Okay, I want to ask you a question because we only got so much time, but you got to come back.
Yes.
If you're ever in the area, this is your platform. I want to ask you some specific questions. I got these young people from Big Brothers and Big Sisters here.
New York City chapter.
Blake and Amir, and I was going to allow them to ask you a question if you'd be so kind. I want to, and these, because of the time restraint, if you could touch on these topics, and I want to get your thought on it. Dementia.
Dementia. So what we seen about dementia, when you study dementia, you see high mercury, you see a bunch of inoculations, and herpes can turn into dementia. When herpes go untreated, that can turn into dementia. Amyloid protein plaque built up on the brain can turn into dementia. Cell phone use, being around cell phones, can turn into dementia, cause a bunch of different brain disorders. So anytime you're looking at dementia, it's basically a bunch of mucus built up on the brain, but the mucus is not the cause to dementia. It's the effect. Mucus is here to heal the body, and it heals the body by picking up this amyloid protein, and it has all these different digestive enzymes inside the mucus trying to break down this metabolic waste that's built up within inside of the nervous system or on the brain. Anybody that have dementia that come to us, the first thing I'm going to do is put you on a high fruit diet that's full of antioxidants that bring a bunch of oxygens to the actual brain cells. So all fruit diet high in berries. The reason why I'm going to choose berries, because berries are high in something called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins actually have a way of alleviating the body from all these minerals all these metals that's not supposed to be in the brain. Also, it's high oxygen, which means it brings a lot of blood flow to the brain. And then it's something called the glymphatic system. The lymphatic system is the sewage system of the body, but the glymphatic system is the sewage system of the brain. So you actually have these pathways, or what you would call NRF2 pathways or metabolic pathways, to detoxify every cell, even when we talk about melanin neurotransmitters, dendrites, or all of these different neuron cells inside of the brain. And the way to do that is on a high fructose diet. And high fructose diet, it would be an all fruit diet, high in berries. Now you have to relieve all the volumetric pressure though that's from the brain. And the only way to relieve the brain of that pressure, or whether we talking about hydrostatic pressure or oncotic pressure, is you have to relieve the gut. So you got to cleanse the gut. You cannot cleanse the brain without cleansing the gut.
Okay.
Yes.
Give a round of applause for that, please.
Yes.
I can give you some herbs real quick to cleanse the gut.
Yeah. I want you to give us herbs.
So wormwood, greater wormwood will actually cleanse the actual stomach. Perdiosa will actually cleanse the gut. You have contribo will cleanse the gut. Slippery elm bark, the inner bark, will cleanse the gut very, very good. Marshmallow root will cleanse the gut very, very good. Cascar sagrada will cleanse the gut very good. Make sure that if you do the Cascar sagrada, either blend it up and put it in some 0 capsules, or make it as a tea. But when you make it as a tea, don't put warm water in it. Sit it in cold water for about a few hours and then drink it cold. It'll have them. And same thing with wormwood. These herbs, when you don't heat them up and you don't break through the cellulose, it actually have a more everlasting effect on the body than actually trying to make a tea out of it and boiling it. So them some herbs that you can use to cleanse the gut. You notice once you start defecating and you start pooping a lot and you start urinating a lot, once you will leave, because 85% of the lymphatic system, or what they call the immune system, is in the gut. Most of the so-called immune system is in your gut area, and it's controlled by the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands is called the autonomic nervous system, and these are things that runs on autopilot. So you going to the bathroom runs on autopilot. You don't have to really make yourself go. You urinating runs on autopilot. Your heartbeat. You don't have to hey, heartbeat. Now, if it stop beating, you die. That runs on autopilot. The way you blink, that runs on autopilot. So that's controlled by the autonomic nervous system. So if you can fix the autonomic nervous system, which is in the gut area, you can fix your whole entire problem. The problem in the black community is our kidneys and our adrenals. And the reason why our kidneys and our adrenals are not working right is because the things that we're eating and all of the mucus and acidic forming foods that we're eating. So if you stop the acidic forming foods and the mucus forming foods and you hydrate the body, that's how you heal. So it's 4 levels to healing. The first thing is sunlight. You have to get sunlight. Sunlight is very, very essential. It's essential for vitamin D. It's essential for converting your cholesterol over into vitamin D. It's essential for melanin neurotransmitters. The sun rays got something called chlorophylls in it that actually help fold your proteins, or what we'll call amino acid structures. There is not one biological function in your body that does not require sunlight. Every functionality of your cells requires sunlight. So you always have to do the sun. Get in the sun for so-called black people at least 2 hours a day if you can. The next one is hydration. Make sure that you're drinking at least 50 ounces of...
Do you drink the water or you eat the water?
I love this. I love this. So it's 2 ways you can do it, because naturally us as a people supposed to eat our water, and you eat your water by eating your fruits. Most of the fruits that we were made and selected to eat have over 85% water in it. This water is different because it's hexagonal water, and this hexagonal water is very, very structured water, and this is what you call H3O2. But the reason why is because how the sun rays it and beats on the actual fruit when it goes through photosynthesis before you take it off the tree and eat it. So if you want to do the H3O2, that's what I recommend. A lot of people don't like that or say they can't afford it, so I don't talk about it too much that no more, because it's all about the needs of the people. If people can't afford to do it, then I'm going to give you the next best selection. The next best selection will be spring water, not alkaline water. Alkaline water is mineral enhanced water. That's not real alkaline water. Real alkaline water is spring water. And you can look at the bottle. The one we've been drinking a lot is Pana and Mountain Spring in the green one. Them good ones. We tested those. We ain't found too many in them. I mean, the environment is polluted.
Yeah.
You're going to run across pollutants. We grow a whole farm with all organic thing. If I test one of my apples, it's chemtrails. They fly over there every day. You can't miss the pollutants. So the only thing you can do is detoxify and keep your mind right. You see that? So the next one was hydration. At least 50 ounces of hydration a day. Now, if you don't want to do that, make sure that you at least getting in 45 ounces of juice a day. So get you a juicer. Juice. And when I say juice your fruits. So we got the sun. We got the water. Next is the air. You have to breathe correctly. 98% of the so-called black community do not know how to breathe. A lot of us are mouth breathers. Mouth breathing messes up your bone structures. Mouth breathing bring in bacteria inside your mouth that you don't need. Mouth breathing actually bring up the nitrates in your bloodstream. Bacteria. When you look at the bacteria that's inside the body from mouth breathing, the bacteria is associated with your decomposing bacteria. These are bacteria that like to decompose and break down your cells. So technically, being a mouth breather and not breathing properly or getting an adequate amount of oxygen in the bloodstream to exchange, oxygen for carbon dioxide by way of hemoglobin, or what you'll call iron phosphate, this actually shorten your lifespan. So not knowing how to properly breathe take 10 years from your life.
Can you demonstrate how to properly breathe?
Yeah, so you breathe in through your nasal passage, you breathe out your mouth. So a correct breath, and it's supposed to be a timely breath. So a real breath supposed to be down to 70. Your heart's supposed to literally get to 70 to 80 beats per minute. That's a true breath. So you breathe in. When you breathe in, your stomach comes out. So when you breathe, your gut comes out. A lot of people do reverse breathing, where they breathe in and their stomach go in. That's an incorrect breath. So when you breathe, your stomach go out. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Then you exhale through the actual mouth. This is called diaphragmatic breathing, because it's a diaphragmatic muscle that actually elongates the lungs and bring it back in. So then you breathe out. So you breathe in through your nasal passage, breathe out your mouth. That's a correct breath. Conscious breathing is the reason why a lot of us are not living long, because we don't know how to consciously breathe. When you're breathing and you're moving that diaphragmatic muscle, you have one of the biggest lymph nodes in your body called the cisterna calli. And the cisterna calli, or Kali, they call it many different names. This is the biggest lymph node on your body, and it meets in the middle of your trunk. All of the waste that come through your body go through this lymph node, and it's supposed to get broken down, disintegrated, discarded to the actual lymphatic system, and you're supposed to urinate it out. So just by not breathing properly, you can't even detoxify properly. So we got the sun, which is light, right? We talked about the water, which is hydration. Then we just talked about the air. Last but not least is what? Earth. We need to eat from earth. Eat more green things, eat more colorful things, organically grown from Mother Nature. And we need to ground out. Your shoes and your clothes are killing you. Half the stuff we wearing got polyester in it, which is going to mess up your electrical magnetic frequency and bring down your hertz. The more your hertz go down, the more you're prone to so-called diseases. So make sure that you're wearing as much cotton as possible, especially when you come up towards your heart. Another thing is your shoes. You supposed to have your shoes on only when you walking on concrete. Other than that, keep your shoes off as much as possible, because that's the way we ground out and get a lot of the protons inside of our body to get rid of a lot of the protons and bring in more electrons. Electrons is the feminine side of nature. That's the nature side of chemistry. It's a negative charge, but it has a way of taking these things from a catabolic state to anabolic state. And from a cation to the anion just means from acidic to alkaline. And you get that just by taking your shoes off. Go hug a tree. It's something called nature deficiency order, where you stay away from nature too long and you will get depressed and you actually get sick. And they took some orphans that was going through these psychological depression changes. They took them to nature for 2 weeks and they didn't have the suicidal thoughts no more. They regained their consciousness. They had purpose. Their imagination came back. They was loving on each other again. So that's one. So we talking about the sun. Talking about water. Talking about air. And talking about earth. All right, we got to talk about this last element that nobody ever talk about, which is love. Love is the most nutritional ingredients on earth. Love. And there's a lot of different scholarly articles talking about these things, where they went to an orphanage and they took 2 orphanages and put them together. One orphanage, they gave them good food, they gave them good nutrition, they gave them good water, they gave them TVs, they gave them everything, but they did not give them any type of physical affection. They didn't spend no time with them, but they gave them the best environment to actually thrive in. And then they took another one that didn't have none of these nutritional things, but they spent time with them, they rocked them to bed, they read them bedtime stories, and they made sure they hugged them for at least 5 minutes a day. Guess who came out more nutrition? Not the ones who ate the good food or drank the good water. It was the ones that was living poor but had their mothers and fathers by their side. They built more amino acid structures and they had more cellular integrity than the ones that had the good food. So the last ingredients is always love. That's your number one nutrition.
Round of applause, man.
Thank you for sharing.
I know a lot of phones been lit up the whole time, but I didn't want to interrupt this, and I think you guys can appreciate why. Where can people find you and also get herbs?
You can get herbs, and you can find us at www.yahkiawaken.com, which is YAHKIAWAKENED.com. Check us out on there. You can also follow me on my social media.